The group is a group of about 40 journalists from all over the world: America, Canada, Britain, France, Germany, the Netherlands, China, Japan, Brazil, you name it. Leading journalists from leading media around the world. Of course, with the deadline, which is a day and a half away, for the potential demolition or evacuation of the Ulpana neighborhood here in Beit, we felt it was very important that these journalists see on the ground what we're really talking about. It's called an outpost by some. It's called illegal or illegitimate by others. You can see when you come here, it's a neighborhood of Beit, and this is making no political pronouncement as to whether it is or isn't legal, legitimate, should or shouldn't be dismantled or what have you. That's a question for the legal system, the political system to make a judgment about, obviously, and to carry out their policy. The issue here, of course, is that since it's called an outpost, and it's considered, therefore, by most of the world's media who are reporting from the field without actually seeing it for themselves, it conjures up images of, a few caravans on the side of a hill that's distant from the rest of the community or what have you, and we felt it was important that they come and see for themselves and hear from.
Because it's in the headlines and you read different reports with different points of view, so to be here and see it physically and talk to local residents gives you at least another point of view and a perspective. Because it looks so well established, I think it's going to be difficult to change that status if that's what's decided. That's what became apparent to me today.
So all the infrastructure was built by the government. All of the roads and the phone lines and electric lines, all of that was put in by the government because they recognized it as a legal sale. 10 years later, someone comes along and waving a piece of paper saying it's mine. It's a pivotal case because it's something that could possibly, God forbid, happen anywhere in Israel, and then every homeowner is at risk. Every homeowner.
Right. Let me ask you this. I mean, we understand now that there's been a delay of a week.
Yes.
We just heard that from the High Court. So let's say shoot to a week from now, and there is a call for a demolition. Tell me what your reaction is going to be then, or what do you say to that post one day after a demolition?
Look, I'm an optimist by nature, so it's very hard for me to go that direction, to actually see it as a demolition that will happen. Not only that, but demolishing the homes is not justice. If justice were to be done, then the court will wait until the Supreme Court would wait until the case finishes in the district court, and the case is decided based on proof and evidence, not based on hearsay. And hopefully that's what will happen. The Supreme Court will say, let's wait until the facts are determined. And then once the facts are determined, I can't imagine that this neighborhood would be demolished.
But it seems like very much like a lot of the issue is certainly one side's against, it's like one word against the other. That seems to be back and forth, back and forth.
The reason that it seems that way to you, to the journalist, and even perhaps to me, the regular citizen, is because the Arab that sold the home, his name cannot be revealed, or else his life is being put at risk. So the documents are not brought out and shown in public. So to you and to me, it might seem like your word against mine or his word against his word. But in fact, the documents are in the district court. They have the actual deed of sale. And so it's not really his word against his word. There is a deed of sale and there is evidence that the homes were purchased legally and completely in good faith with full money paid. It just seems that way because we want to protect this Arab. You know that there is a law in the Palestinian Authority that anybody that sells land to a Jew gets the death sentence. That is what I call apartheid. The last time that happened was the Nuremberg laws in Germany in the 1930s. But that is the way it stands today. If a Palestinian sells land to a Jew, he's got the death penalty. So we have protected the Palestinian that sold us the land because we value his life perhaps more than his own brothers do. And therefore, you haven't actually seen the document.
Well, we're talking to a man today who says he lives down here. He looks up on what he says is his property. He says it's his.
Who says that?
A man who lives down here in the village.
An Arab?
Mm-hmm.
Did he show you evidence?
Well, but we also asked in the press conference today for evidence, but on the other side saying they can't show it because to protect people. So again, we're going back to that.
We could show it, but we won't because we value life.
they had the chance to meet with some residents, which is one of the most important aspects. As journalists, they don't want to hear it only from the public spokespeople and the official line. They want to speak to people who live here. We're now walking around with one of the residents, Brad, originally from Australia, telling his personal story and also some information about the 48 families or so that live here in the neighborhood that you can see is a built-up neighborhood and established with the help of government ministries as well as official mortgages from banks, which of course aren't given unless all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, as Judy Atlas said. And the truth is, the impression that they're getting from the spokespeople and from the residents is, of course, a very, very nuanced one. What they're being exposed to are some of the complexities of the issues, and the complexities are such that often are pasted over by those who have an agenda, who are trying to actually convince the journalist or policymakers of one side or the other. So there's no question the comments that I've heard until now, for instance, a journalist from America, a leading journalist from a television radio network out of America, just said to me, these are so important perspectives because so infrequently do we go into the nuances, the complexities of the issues, and it's these subtleties, not just the personal elements, but the subtleties of this neighborhood was established under Ehud Barak's premiership. Some of the claims made about whether it is or isn't private land are claims which are made and repeated ad nauseum without really reference to what they heard today, and this fellow was just talking with me about this as we were walking, the actual legal foundation for whether it's in general Israel's presence in the territories or specifically this piece of land. Purchased, not purchased, absentee owner, non-absentee owner, British mandatory law, Ottoman law, Turkish law, Jordanian occupation law, Israeli application of Israeli law under the territories that they're administering. This stuff is complex. And he was saying to me, this is great to be able to get it straight from the horse's mouth, which means not from some lawyer and not from some spokesperson of an NGO, but rather from the people who really have gone into detail and understand the issues.